I just played one of the top recruits in the country. This was my experience training with and playing against a 5-star recruit who at 17 just got a win over a top 1,000 ATP player. What is up, you tennis nuts? Welcome back. We are deep in the middle of full-time training with Coach Ruan, as you can see over here. But today's practice was pretty special. Got the opportunity to practice with Abe Rosset, 17-year-old, 5-star recruit, 11.5 UTR, and just got a win over a player ranked inside the top 1,000. So that actually happened a few days after this video was recorded. So well done to Abe. He's been a great training partner for me since I've been down in Florida, and obviously has a pretty bright future ahead. I'll take you through the practice that we did, some of the drills that we did, and then we'll watch and see if I can hang in a practice set with a 17-year-old. But first, please enjoy this montage of my warm-up from today, which was maybe the worst warm-up of all time. Not everything's as good as it looks on camera. But with a little pep talk from Coach Ruan and some improved footwork, we did find it. That's a good reminder to all of you that most of what I put on camera is the good stuff. And there is a lot of bad. But let's get into our first drill of the day.
Wake up.
2, 3.
Our first drill is all about ball quality. So we're playing normal forehand cross-court points. But not only can you lose the point by missing or by the other person hitting a winner, but if you play a ball that's too low quality, where the coach thinks you're pushing or not accelerating, not going after the ball enough, not being aggressive enough, you can also lose the point. Basically forcing us to play at a certain standard, even though we're just in half the court. So often I'm going into practices or these games thinking about playing every point perfectly and making no mistakes, and this drill was really about understanding that at a really high level, mistakes are kind of part of the process. You need to play big, be aggressive, and manage your mistakes, but a few errors here and there should not stop you from playing with a good quality ball. All right, drill number 2, and this was a bruiser. One person's hitting only forehands and alternating 2 to the deuce side and 2 to the ad side, and the other person's just running, hitting the ball back to the middle. But it's not just a cooperative drill. In this case, I'm the one hitting forehands out of the center, and Abe's running side to side. Abe is trying to hit the ball as high a quality as possible through the center of the court. And my job is not to try to finish the point, but instead play with quality, but just keep finding forehands. So play a good ball with lots of margin, recover, and find another forehand. We probably spent 5 minutes in each roll, and even when I was the one running side to side, playing back to the middle, there was still a huge emphasis on playing with quality, right? You're not pushing the ball ever. One, to work on defending for yourself, but also to make sure that your opponent, your practice partner, is having to play forehands off of a real ball. I think too often in these drills, I end up just pushing the ball back and making it too easy for my partner. And drill number 3, the Swedish drill. We do this drill a lot. So you can see these cones and the dots marking the court. They're 2 feet inside the sidelines on both sides. And these are baseline points, full court points within those smaller boundaries. This is the last drill that we did before we started playing real points, which is 100% on purpose, because as we go into real points, both coaches are looking for us to play aggressive, but play with big margin and have to create that offense more with our movement forward and back rather than just trying to paint lines. What I like about these drills is that as you go through them, as soon as you go into a full court point where you don't have those boundaries, it feels like you have way more space. So we do this drill all the time right before I play tournaments or matches, just to put me in the right mindset of what type of targets do I want to hit at and how am I going to create that offense. But I thought those were the 3 most important drills from the practice before we get into the match. Obviously, that's what everybody wants to see, so let's get into the match play. All right, you tennis nuts, let's get into the real good stuff. Who actually cares about the drills anyways? Let's see if I can beat a 17-year-old. Also, I know I'm not in frame right here to return, but I promise the rest of the match, 99% of the time I'm going to be in frame. It's my pet peeve, is tennis people posting videos where they're not in frame. But anyway, let's frickin' get into this match. First point. One thing I'll tell you that Coach Ruan does a great job of, even in practice matches, is giving me 3 things to focus on before we start the match. And it's never more, it's never less, it's exactly 3. 1 to do with my serve, and then the other 2 usually have something to do with my footwork or my shot selection, some combination of positive things for me to think about that give me something to focus on without distracting me from actually playing the match. Because at least in my case, the issue is overthinking during matches. It's not that I'm not focused, it's that I'm focused on too many different things and I end up not actually competing. I'm thinking about my forehand technique, I'm thinking about my footwork, what time of day it is, what I had for breakfast. So choosing 3 things for me is more about being simple and clear rather than making sure that I'm focused on anything. Right from the start, though, there's this kind of standard that Abe plays with. I've seen it a lot with good players. We talked about it in the last video in Thailand, where if you leave the ball in the center of the court hanging, they're going to clean it up. And so it just forces you, puts some pressure on you to produce on every ball, sort of like that drill we talked about, the first drill we talked about in the video. And for me, I never feel that comfortable to play long points from the baseline, so a huge focus early on is serving. Unless, you know, someone's going to return like Abe is doing in this game, at least serving can keep me in the match if I'm not winning those long rallies. A phrase I hear from Coach Ruan as I'm going through these practice matches or tournaments, he often tells me, do whatever it takes to hold serve. It doesn't always need to be pretty. You don't always need to play your perfect tennis, especially at the beginning of the match. But holding onto your serve, finding a way to make first serves early on is super important to sticking around at the beginning of matches. Another thing I should point out is that you can't tell on camera, but the conditions are tough. It's at least 85 degrees and 75% humidity, which after doing a physical practice and then going into point play is pretty tough for both players. So getting free points on your serve is a huge deal. Getting through service games at 40-15, 40 love, it frees you up to give a little bit more physical effort in the return games and puts some pressure on the opponent while they're serving. That was out, by the way. Way too big of a swing. What just happened in this game, what you're about to see, where I was up, break points, and end up losing the game kind of on loose errors, has been happening to me a lot. Something me and Ruan have been talking about my last 3 or 4 tournaments. The matches I'm losing, I'm usually up set points. 2 matches I've been up match points, but even just during regular service games, I'm getting up 40 love frequently and letting the game slip away. So what we're talking about now to kind of correct that is just every time I get a game point, the first game point, even if it's 40 love, I need to treat it like that's the only opportunity I have to win the game. And already I've seen a big difference just by kind of treating that 40 love, 40-15 point like a huge deal, it keeps my focus. It's easy for my brain to relax when you get up big in a game or in a set. Those errors right there, though, they feel like a huge wasted opportunity. When the other person is playing so well on the front foot, right? When Abe's on his front foot, he plays so well. So making errors when I am in neutral, especially on return games, is pretty frustrating. I think that's where that Swedish drill, that game we just played, the last drill, that's where it comes in, of being able to be aggressive but within bigger margins so you don't have to take so much risk. As I absolutely fence a forehand. But again, another game with break points where I just make 3 or 4 errors to lose the game. But that's why we spend so much time working on serve and first ball stuff with me and Coach Ruan, because if you can hold serve, even with tons of errors and stupid mistakes, you can stick around in these matches and all of a sudden grab an opportunity at the end of the set when maybe you haven't earned it during the rallies, but you've held serve, kept the scoreboard pressure. And those 2 points back to back are a perfect example of what men's tennis is all about. If you can find a way to get ahead in the point early on, whether that's serve, return, or your first ball, finding a way to get ahead in the point just makes your life so much easier. It's something Ruan points out to me constantly, of I'll be practicing with someone who's maybe better than me, and when they're on the front foot, I'm getting abused from the back of the court. But if I can just create a couple of high quality shots and get myself some time, some space on the court, all of a sudden the level difference is not as big.
Good.
But this is a good time to talk about those 3 things. What 3 things did me and Ruan focus on for this match? One, on the serve, was trying to keep my head up all the way through my contact so I can actually see my racket making contact with the ball. That helps my serve percentage a ton. Second was adjusting to each ball. It's something that we talk about a lot in our practices, which is all those small adjustments with your feet and your preparation that you need to make during the point. So once I start the point, he asked me to just think about adjusting to each ball, sort of like playing in the moment, right? You're just trying to play each point shot by shot. I'm just trying to execute correctly each shot, and I'm not worried about what happened before. I'm not worried about what's going to happen. I need to play this ball correctly. If that means getting low with my legs and preparing low because the ball's deep, if that means going through the ball as I go to the net on an approach shot, I just need to think about the adjustments, which will keep me focused on this moment right now. And number 3 is planning my serve and first ball. So before I started each point, I had to choose where my first serve was going to go and where I wanted my first ball after the serve to go. Of course, you might not always get what you plan, but in general, if you're serving tee, you have a good idea of where that first ball is going to go based on your opponent, so you can plan the first 2 shots. This is something I'm pretty uncomfortable with, but I did find that when the point started, I was for sure more clear with what I needed to do, and I think that those first 2 shots of the point can be difficult. It can be difficult to transition from serve into a rally, so it was super helpful. We ended up running out of time here. This set took way longer than we expected, so we're playing a 5-point tiebreaker at 5-all. So the first person to get to 5, this is an old school tiebreaker. I don't know how long it's been since these tiebreaks have been used, but I'll shut up and let you see how this set ends.
Oh my God. Just like it's been going.
not the highest quality tiebreak from either one of us, but all in all, an incredible experience playing with Abe. And he went on to have one of the best results of his career days after this. So things are going well for him. I want to say thank you again to Abe. Thanks to Anderson Tennis for having me out. And thanks to Coach Ruan. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. And please give that subscribe button a little tappity tap for me. Love you guys.